We're continuing with the series on autosuggestion. This will happen to be part 4 of the series Autosuggestion, but the title, working theme here is Autosuggestion in Spiritual Healing, or Autosuggestion in Scientific Prayer. We pray, but do we know how to pray? There's a scripture says that ye have not because you ask amiss. Do you know how to pray? What we're learning how to do is how to establish a praying consciousness. We pray scientifically. We've had several topics leading up to number 4. Number 4, which is tonight, is how God does it for you. F-O-R. How God does it for you. And we know we have the saying, God will not do it for you. Many people say that. That is an absolute non-truth. That is not a true statement when you say God will not do it for you. But then there are those of us who feel we are more advanced and more knowledge-based, and we'll say, well, God will not do it for you, but God will do it through you. Now, that is a true statement, but how many understand that even those seasoned teachers and those who even consider themselves to be a philosopher or a mystic or whatever, you got 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years of training under your belt, and you say, God won't do it. God will do it for you, through you, as if you absolutely know what you're saying. I'm in that category. I'm talking about myself. I've said that and I've known that for 30 or 40 years, but I have not known it at the level and with the clarity in which I know it now. And that really has come through our Tuesday night sessions and my preparing for them and my teaching them. And so I learned long ago through one of my first foundational teachers, Neville Goddard, in reading his books. He said in one of his books, and maybe he says it in more than one of them, that when he's praying through something, he has a need for answered prayer, he will preach a sermon on it. He will teach it. Well, I started that practice 30 plus years ago because that's when I heard him. I learned about it. And from the first time I read that in one of his books many years ago, that has been my practice. So whatever it is that I'm working on towards healing, I teach a workshop. I teach it. Whatever it is that I'm having difficulty understanding a spiritual principle, a spiritual law, rather than searching books to find the answer, I teach it. I teach what I don't know until I know it. Yeah. I remember saying of Juanita Dunn, my first, next to Dr. Dan, Dr. Dan and Juanita Dunn were my first spiritual teachers. And she had a saying that I don't make a decision until I get an answer. I've lived by that principle also. I don't make a decision until I get an answer. All right, here we go. So what I am sharing with you, I am convinced by revelation, by inspiration. What I'm sharing with you, I did not read in a book, but I've read from many books and heard through the lips of many teachers. And so this is a condensation. This is an evolution, a coming together of all that I have heard, pinpointed now in this concept and the way that I understand autosuggestion and what it is in spiritual healing, what it is in the practice of scientific prayer. And what has evolved in my consciousness is this: the answer to the question, how does God do it for you? Yet you will say, God can't do it for you. God will do it through you. What the heck does that mean? You don't know, but you'll know tonight. And what I am seeing clearly for me is that God does it through the power of autosuggestion, which is a facet of your imagination in you. Imagination is a faculty of God in you. So how does God do it for you? God does it through your imagination, through the power of the facet of autosuggestion, which is an activity of God in you. We need to start off with my axiom, and that is, this stuff is caught, not taught. What I am sharing with you, I caught it. Nobody taught it to me. I caught it. And I caught it by searching. Pascal, the philosopher, says, oh, you would not have sought me had you not already found me. So it's a truth that I already knew in my soul. It was an answer that I already knew, but I had to bring it out. And I had to bring it out by constantly teaching it until it exploded. But Neville has the idea that he talks about in a number of his books about how truth explodes. I didn't know what the heck he was talking about until recently. It explodes in your consciousness, It's a magnificent feeling. So that is what this lesson is about. Let's share how it is based in Mark 10:27. The King James Version reads this way. And Jesus, looking upon them, said, with men, this is impossible, but not with God. For with God, all things are possible. The preposition, if with is a preposition that is overlooked, is with. And Jesus, looking upon them, said, with men it is impossible, but not with God. Now, there's where we get confused. We go off into the rabbit hole right there. It says, with men it is impossible, but not with God. Therefore, we get off into God will do it for you. No, but continue on to read the rest of it. For with God, all things are possible. That means man with God. God will do it for you, through you. It's a two-part deal here. Philippians 4:13 says, I can do all things, Paul writes, through Christ. I can. You see, there Paul's talking about God with man. You got a part to play. God will do it for you, through you. Because he says, it's very clear, I can do all things through Christ, which strengthened me, as God is doing it through me, for me, as me, by means of me. That's where my strength comes from. I don't have strength before I start. Strength comes through doing it and letting God do it through me. That's empowerment. God is strengthening me as God does it through me. That is my strength. That is my courage, and that is my faith. So the conscious is what a man knows. The subconscious is what a man is. We're going to be talking about the conscious and the subconscious. We're going to be talking about the two aspects of mind, conscious and subconscious. And in doing so, we're talking about the two aspects of man. Man is one, conscious and subconscious. Now, there's another reading statement in Neville's books of long ago that I read long ago and didn't know what the heck he was talking about. What did he mean when he says, I am my Father? I didn't understand that. Now I do. I am my Father. Jesus said it. I and my Father are one. Then he says, but, watch this. Well, remember what we're talking about. What is our subject? Autosuggestion in spiritual healing. Autosuggestion in scientific prayer. In order to understand that, you got to go back to the fundamentals. You got to go back to the basic. You got to go back to the beginning. Jesus is saying it right here. I and my Father are one, but my Father is greater than I. What is he talking about? My Father is greater than I. Well, John 12:45. He that seeth me, seeth him that sent me. He that seeth me, seeth him that sent me. Give you a couple more scriptures that this lesson is based on. John chapter 10 and 30 says it very clearly. I and the Father are one. Matthew 18:18 says this. Again, I say unto you that if two of you shall agree on earth as touching anything that they shall ask, it shall be done for them of my Father which is in heaven. For them. It shall be done. Yeah, God will heal you. God will make that breakthrough in whatever that you're aspiring towards or praying to relieve yourself of or to aspire or obtain. Yes, God will do it. It says it right here. It shall be done for them of my Father which is in heaven. What is heaven? Heaven is that subconscious realm of mind. That's where the Father is, in heaven. The Father is in you as you, in heaven. Again, I say unto you, if two of you, the two of you is the conscious and the subconscious parts of your mind, shall agree, and at that moment of agreement and accepting, something automatically kicks in that is transformative. Again, I say unto you that if two, and I mean, if you have the faith and belief and acceptance, says, yes, I have it already. It's already there. It's already done. That's touching, binding it. Anything that they shall ask. Anything means anything. Then it shall be done. Then I let go and let it be done. It will be done for them. So this lesson is how that for it is the opening up of that for, that FOR. What does for mean? It shall be done for them. This whole lesson and the lessons going forward is opening up and expanding that FOR. The for, we're teaching the how of the for. So how does that for work? It works through the power of autosuggestion. Now, I was sharing this with Dr. Andriette, the minister in Oakland. And in a conversation with her, I was sharing with her, and I'm kind of repeating something that I already shared with you already, how it is that when I got to autosuggestion, I was kind of pondering the fact that I didn't see this discussed in the Science of Mind textbook, nor in Neville's writings in talking about autosuggestion. And then so I did a run in the Science of Mind textbook just on suggestion. I think I saw it referenced 2 times in the newer later edition of the Science of Mind textbook. And then in Neville's books, I did some runs through there trying to find out what is he saying about autosuggestion. And again, didn't find any references to autosuggestion. And then somebody else's, Quimby, and I did a search on 2 or 3 others. And so what I was reminded of that this term autosuggestion was a term coined in the 1900s, well, the late 1900s, and then picked up, by others, and then developed from there. But what the conclusion that I came to and that I've come to is that while the earlier ones didn't use the actual term that wasn't coined until later, it's implied in all of their writings and teachings. It is subjected in all of that. If I come to the mind, that was my revelation, and that was my conclusion. And so what I'm doing here is for you, collapsing years of time and searching and presenting it in this form and format right here. Well, the next day I received an email from Andriette, and what it was the Science of Mind textbook, 1926. See, Ernest Holmes had written the book earlier, in the 1920s. And that book was later revised, and they did a complete revision in the Science and Math textbook in the 40s or 50s to make it more adaptable to current society, to where it would be more acceptable, because this one was more spiritually based, and so they made it more distilled is what it was. So what you're about to experience here is this, is that when she sent that to me, because she, in the conversation, she said, Ahman, I'd be willing to bet you that Ernest Holmes, you will find that in the 1926 edition, but not in the revised edition. Lo and behold, I opened it. While I didn't see, it's probably there, but my point is that when I began to read the 1926 edition again, because I've had the book for 30 years, but I've never read it from the front to the back. I've always used it as a reference book. This time I'm reading it from page 1 all the way through to the end of the book. And it is absolutely amazing, because what I am seeing in the first chapter or two is the clear interpretation, explanation, and meaning of autosuggestion, though the word or term is not there clarified. I am seeing the inner meaning of it. Here it is. Here's a reference from it. And he says, the conscious and subconscious are one, but the subconscious is greater than the conscious. The conscious and the subconscious are one, but the subconscious is greater than the conscious. The subjective state of thought is the power always at work. It is the power always at work. Now we're talking about how God does it for you. The subjective state of thought is the power always at work. And this that is always at work is the power of autosuggestion in your consciousness, unconsciously working for you. It is the result of the sum total of all beliefs, consciously or unconsciously held, the subjective state of mind. The subjective state of thought may be consciously changed through right mental action. That means that any mental tendency that is going on in your life, or any trajectory, anything that is working in your life that is to your unliking, you have the power of control. You can change it anytime you choose to change it. You're not under FATE, fate. You can change anything. The conscious thought controls the subconscious. You have to get your conscious thought engaged to control the subconscious. And in its turn, but something happens, it's collaborative. In its turn, the subconscious controls conditions. All right. The law is mental, and it is always working according to our belief, whether we are conscious of this fact or not. The law is mental. Your mind is always working, and it is always working according to our belief, whatever your mental equivalent is, whatever your dominant mental beliefs are, whether we're conscious of this fact or not, it's always working. And so, having that established, we're going to come back to that. Let me share with you what in my preparation for this lesson today, last night, I just thought I'd go online and see how it described instinct, because that's what we're talking about. My working topic here is the instinctive man, the power of autosuggestion in spiritual healing. The instinctive man. It is through the instinctive man that God does it for you. How does God do it for you, through you? Through the instinctive man. There is one instinctive man. There is one universal instinctive man, and that instinctive man resides within you as it does in every individual. There's a part of you that is the instinctive man. It is not separated from any other part of man that you are. It is an aspect of life that is within you. But the website definition says this, and this is not we're holding on to. We're using this to segue into the spiritual meaning of instinctive man. But it says this is the conventional or contemporary way of understanding instinct and instinctive man. It says the primal instincts of a man encapsulate a fascinating blend of innate drives and desires that have evolved over thousands of years. And so think about it. When you customarily think of the term instinct, this is the way your mind goes. Nothing wrong with it. It's legit, but it's literal. The primal instincts of a man encapsulate a fascinating blend of innate drives and desires that have evolved over thousands of years. That's instinct. These instincts, deeply rooted within their biology, encompass a range of basic urges that shape their behavior and resources to the world around them. Mm-hmm. Now you have your general understanding of instinct. Let's shift this and go back to the Science of Mind textbook, and we're going to understand instinct and instinctive from a whole different level, from a fourth dimensional level, from a spiritual level, not from that literal understanding that I just read. We're going to shift. In the 1926 edition of the Science of Mind textbook, there's a caption or heading, "The Evolution of Man's Thought, Instinctive Man." What is the topic of the lesson here? Autosuggestion in spiritual healing. Autosuggestion in scientific prayer. How God does it for you, through you. God does it for you, through your instinctive man. The instinctive man that is within me. We have to learn how to have a relationship with God, a personal relationship with God. And this brings you into an attitude of the personalness of God. This is how God lives in you and performs in you, for you, through the instinctive man that dwells in you, that is the engine, that is the worker of God in your consciousness. And we want to program your mind and fall asleep and shut up and be quiet and be still and let the instinctive man work for you, because it's doing it anyway, involuntarily. But it's working on whatever your mental equivalent is, whatever is the last thought you're about to sleep on. If you're sick and staying in sickness, it's got to keep on giving you what you believe. And so Ernest Holmes says this back in had to be earlier than 1926, but 1926 is when he wrote it. If we trace man's history back into the dim past, we should come to a place. That's the place that we have come to through this lesson. I'm bringing you back to that place. We're tracing man's history back into the dim past to a place where he did not consciously know himself. See, you're far evolved from that place now. But for the purpose of lesson and teaching, we're in a meditative consciousness now, going back to that place before we were self-conscious. This is what the Genesis chapter 2 is all about, the story of Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden. That's what this is explaining. We should come to a place where instinctive man alone existed. There was God in the Garden of Eden with Adam and Eve. But this was in his state of mind of being instinctive man before self-consciousness. We should come to, but you see, we're in spiritual healing and spiritual training and spiritual consciousness. We need to learn how to go back to that place when we desire to, and well, actually to stay in that place. But we, because of our conditioning, we have to use specific ways and methods to go back to that place. We call it meditation. We call it some specific act or activity. But we need to learn how to live in that place in a constant state of mind, recognizing that instinctive man is always alert and never sleep and is working in your consciousness, bringing to you whatever it is that you believe and whatever it is you're thinking of, your fears and your faith. We should come to a place where instinctive man alone existed, for the self-conscious man had not yet evolved. Nothing can be more apparent than that man, as he now appears, is the result of growth and unfoldment. The man that you are now as you appear is a result of growth and unfoldment. You know, not being able to really identify with your instinctive man. But in order to unfold, man had to have something from which to unfold. And since he is intelligent, he must have unfolded from an intelligent cause. All right? If you unfolded from intelligence, then that intelligence must be in you and a part of what you are. He goes on to say, instinctive man then means, now he's telling you what instinctive man means. Instinctive man then means that inner something, that inner life, which we do not see, but which is, of course, there as you walk during the day, as you fall asleep. You don't see the instinctive man, but you know that it's there. We might say that instinctive life is God in man, or the idea of God working through man. God can do it for you through instinctive life that is in you. But if instinctive man is an idea of God, he says, then the question that we ask is, then why is he not perfect? Or why am I not perfect? You know, we have the saying in our teaching, perfect God, perfect man, perfect being. You know, well, why am I not perfect? Why am I sick? Why do I have this problem? Why this and why that? If the instinctive man within me is the life of God and that life is perfect, then why am I not perfect? He says the answer is that he is perfect. You are perfect, but that as soon as individuality is evolved, he must be left alone to discover himself. He must be left alone to discover himself. He must be left alone to discover this instinctive man that is in him and use him by letting him use you. Self-discovery. Self-discovery. The instinctive man. That's what these lessons are about. And that's why I am so blessed to have you to challenge me to teach you. And in doing so, this is what I'm learning. His next caption heading is this, because this is the evolving page by page going through the 1926 edition of the book. And I'm seeing the definition and the explanation of how autosuggestion works in your life as I read this, even though he's not using the term autosuggestion. I see that it is implied. I see that it is subjective in there. That's what I am discerning. The topic is nature waits on man's self-recognition. To explain that, he says this. We know that from the day when instinctive life to the point of self-choice, from the day when instinctive life to the point of self-choice, it let him alone. And from that day, instinctive life has waited on man's unfoldment. You can see that in the Garden of Eden story of Adam and Eve. Let me reread it and see, don't you see it? We note that from the day when instinctive life to the point of self-choice, it let him alone. And from that day, instinctive life has waited on man's unfoldment. It is true that during all this time, it has carried on the automatic functions of the body, instinctive life, and has even silently told man what to do, but it has left him alone in all other ways. In other words, this is not a lazy person's life or teaching. It may and must hold man as a perfect being, but it also must let him discover this fact for himself. That's what your experience is now, with God sending me to learn and to share with you. We are equally, we're evenly yoked here. We're in the same vibration. We're learning this together. This is your awakening. This is your self-discovery. You are discovering this at the same time that I am. This is your great discovery. He goes on to say, during all of this time, in the time when before man's self-consciousness, before this great discovery, he says, during all of this time, however, instinctive life or God must be silently waiting for the great discovery to be made, and God must always be ready to respond to man's advancement. Now that you have advanced to this understanding, get ready to roll. Make the stuff work. Use it. Practice it. And God will respond. We note this, he says, to be true along the line of man's progress. For instance, consider the discovery of any kind, of any of nature's forces. We know that they must have always existed. But so far as man is concerned, they exist to him only after he has discovered and learned how to make use of them. This instinctive life has always existed, but it is only when you come into your conscious awareness of it that you can deliberately direct it and deliberately use it. We use it all the time, but we're talking about self-empowerment. Electricity, for example, was a reality in the universe when Moses led the children of Israel from the land of Egypt. But neither Moses nor any of his followers knew anything about electricity, and so they did not receive and benefit from its use. Are you following me? Now that you know more about this instinctive man that is within you and how it works through the power of autosuggestion, then your prayer life is empowered. He says this is true of any and all of the natural laws. They always existed, and as soon as understood, may be used. In this way, he writes, instinctive life. What is instinctive life? Instinctive life was that was within you when you were born. Instinctive life is nothing that you have to do to activate it, or you have to use it. It is through your conscious awareness of it that empowers your prayer life, so that you're doing it for yourself. But that for yourself means knowing how to let God do it for you, through you. And it's doing it through you, to the activation of your imagination, through the facet of autosuggestion. In this way, instinctive life waits upon man's discovery, he says, of the natural laws, and his discovery of himself and his relationship to the great whole. If this is so evidently true of all the forces in the natural world, we must expect to find the same thing to be true of those inner and finer forces within man. The unfoldment of these inner, finer sources, your knowledge of the infinite life that is within you through man, is what we call his evolution. His evolution. Now, as I said, it's my practice to send you the handout before the talk begins, but because I was having a little difficulty, it's in the queue to send you. As soon as I conclude the lesson, I will hit the send button and send it to you. But you need to review these lessons, read them over and over and over. The YouTube will be posted on the website. It's 4 or 5 days from now, when the helper the website master here posts them there. I don't do this work myself. I pay somebody to do this work. And when he posts this YouTube to the website, you can go there and review this as I do, listen to it over and over, and it gives me the next lesson, but I understand it more clearly. Now he's talking about the first great discovery. He says the first great discovery that man made was that he could think. This was the day when he rose from the ground and said, I am. This marked the first great day of personal attainment. And from that day, when man became an individual and had to make all further progress himself, any compulsory evolution stopped when man became an individual. And from that day, he had to work in conscious union with nature and her forces. When man became an individual means when his consciousness evolved to that state of self-recognition, when he came into self-consciousness, that's what that means, from being in a state of instinctive life only. That's what became an individual means. But he did not have to work alone, for instinctive life has always been with him and will never depart from him. Instinctive life desires that man shall express more and yet more, and be more of its own with limitless possibilities. Man is evolving from an infinite basis. Behind him is the great unknown, but not the great unknowable. For the unknown becomes known through man, and whatever more instinctive life is to do for him must be done through him. Oh, yeah, there it is. God will do it for you, through you, and this is how God does it through you. Nature must work through man, he says, in order to work for him. Right there, it's clear as a bell. The instinctive man has again spoken. That's the speaking right now, and told him, is telling us to search more deeply. That's what we're doing. Into his own nature, that's what we're doing. To look deep within yourself for the answer to life, and life will reveal its answer to you. We're realizing this. This is real time for us. This is what we're experiencing. The hour, he says, has struck in the evolution of man when he can understand this voice and do its bidding. He begins to close here. He says, we mean by instinctive man that part of the individual that came with him when he was born. That inner something which makes him what he is. For instance, we do not have to consciously think to make the body function. Why? Why? Because of the instinctive life that is within you, the instinctive man that is within you, that's working involuntarily, that is working automatically. You don't have to tell it. Once you program it in this manner, once you become aware of it. So we say that the inner or the instinctive man does this for us. Always know that God is doing for you. This allows you to rest and be at peace and shut up, hey, and leave that place behind. I remember when I was sick. I remember when I had this problem. I remember when. Well, when you say I remember when, that's automatically saying that I am somewhere else. I'm experiencing something that's in the past, but you're in the now state of another consciousness, of being healed, of being there, or it being already done. For instance, we do not have to consciously think to make the body function. So we say that the inner or the instinctive man does this for us. This is true of most of the functions of the body. They appear to be automatic, these functions. They came with us, these functions, and are nature's way of working through us automatically, involuntarily. So we say that in the unconscious or the subconscious or the subjective, there is a silent process. So we say that in the unconscious or the subconscious or the subjective, that's the Father within. That's the instinctive life. There's a silent process forever working away and always doing its duty, carrying on all of the unconscious activities of the body and of your life without effort or on your part at all. It is doing the work. That's the end quote of the Science of Mind textbook. And so I'm closing with the affirmation that we have developed for ourselves as our absolute close, and it is this: I am a spiritual being human, as God lives its life through me, as me, by means of me, and as he performs his will for me. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. And so it is.